Today we will see the tutorial of the bones of the skull. So first we will see tutorial of skull, and we will divide it in some part. So this is the first part of the skull. Okay, so here we will see tutorial of the skull. First, the division of the skull. As you know, the skull having the upper part that is called the cranial skeleton, and in the face that is called the facial skeleton. Here also you can see the cranial skeleton and the facial skeleton. Cranial skeleton having the 14 bones: paired, that is parietal, temporal, medius, incus and the stapes; unpaired, frontal, occipital, sphenoid and the ethmoid. In the facial skeleton, there is also the paired and unpaired. In the paired, there is the maxilla, zygomatic, nasal, lacrimal bone, palatine, inferior nasal concha; unpaired, mandible and the vomer. Now we are not going to discuss each bone right now, but we will see these are the bones in the cranial skeleton and the facial skeleton. Now, how to study the skull? So first of all, we will see the exterior of the skull. Okay, so here you can see in the exterior, we can study the skull from the superior aspect, so that we can call it norma verticalis. When we see from the posterior aspect of the skull, then it is called the norma occipitalis. When anterior aspect, it is called the norma frontalis. When in the lateral aspect, it is called the norma lateralis. When inferior aspect, means in the basalis, norma basalis. Okay, so this is the method to study the exterior of the skull. Now first, anatomical position of skull. So here you can see the two planes. One is a raised baseline and another plane, that is a Frankfurt horizontal plane. Raised baseline, here you can see from the intraorbital margin to the external, to the middle point of the external acoustic meatus. That is about the raised baseline. Okay, so this is the line. You have to join these 2 points, then it is called the raised baseline. When you join intraorbital margin and the upper margin of the external acoustic meatus, then it is called the Frankfurt's horizontal plane. Okay, so this is the plane to explain the anatomical position. You can remember any one of these two planes. Now we will see, first study the exterior of the skull, that is a superior view of the skull, or we can see the norma verticalis. So when the skull is viewed from the superior aspect, then it is called the norma verticalis. You can see this is the frontal bone, this is the coronal suture, this is the anterior aspect, and this is the posterior aspect. Here this is called the bregma, this is the parietal bone, this is the sagittal suture. In between the parietal bone, this is the parietal foraminus, and this is the occipital bone, and between the parietal bone and occipital bone, the some part of the lambdoid suture you can see from the superior aspect. Now norma verticalis, in the another figure, some points. This is the bregma. Bregma is the meeting point of the coronal suture and the sagittal suture. Another point, that is the obelian point, is present in between the two parietal foramen. Lambda is the meeting point of the sagittal suture and the lambdoid suture. This is the lambdoid suture that is present in between the parietal bone and the occipital bone. Sometimes in the some of the individual, about 8% or 3 to 8% of the individual, that is the matopic suture is present, and it is occasionally present, normally it is fused. So when it is present, it is called the matopic suture, that is present in the frontal bone. between the two halves of the frontal bone. So also you can see from the superior aspect the temporal line, that is called the superior temporal lines and the inferior temporal line. Superior temporal line extends from the zygomatic process of the frontal bone. It goes above in the parietal bone and posteriorly in the parietal bone. You can see there is a superior temporal line and inferior temporal line. Inferior temporal line is continuous anteriorly, and it is up to the supramastoid crest of the temporal bone, and superior temporal line fades when we trace it posteriorly. That is about the temporal line. This temporal line gives attachment to the temporal fascia, and underlying this is the temporalis muscle in the temporal fossa. When we see norma lateralis, then we will study it. So here this point is a bregma and this point is the lambda. So these are the fontanelles. These are called the fontanelles. These are the gaps. Okay, this is anterior fontanelle, that is called the bregma, which close after the birth around 18 months. Posterior fontanelle, also called the lambda, that is closed after 2 to 3 months. In the lateral aspect also there is two fontanelle, that is called the anterolateral fontanelle or the sphenoidal fontanelle, that close after 2 to 3 months of the birth. Posterolateral fontanelle or the mastoid fontanelle also close after the 12 months of the birth. Okay, so that is, you have to remember, it can be asked in a MCQ. Anterior fontanelle or the bregma close after the 18th month. Okay, this is during the normal vaginal delivery, there is a rupture of the capillary. Due to that, there is a swelling of the skull, and it is called the caput succedaneum. Okay, and after some days, 3 to 5 days, it will become normal. Now we will see norma occipitalis or the posterior view of skull. So this is the posterior view of the skull. So from the posterior aspect, what we can see? So we have studied the sagittal suture, parietal foramina, lambda, lambdoid suture. We have to see the occipital bone. This is the external occipital protuberance, and by the side there is a one line that is called the superior nuchal line. Below that there is an inferior nuchal line. Okay, here there is a mastoid process, mastoid foramina, and this is the temporal bone. Okay, this type of the structures we can see from the posterior aspect. Okay, this is the epicranial aponeurosis we will study in the scalp, but for now this epicranial aponeurosis having two belly. One is a frontal belly and another is a occipital belly. The frontal belly is present anteriorly, and this occipital belly, that is in the posterior aspect, that is attached over the superior nuchal line posteriorly. Okay, so that is about the norma occipitalis. Okay, now
today we will see the skull. Okay, as you can see, this is the whole skull. The skeleton of the head is called the skull. So as you can see, the skull can be divided into two parts. આ જે ઉપરનું જે પોર્શન છે, the calvaria or the brain box, it is called calvaria or the brain box, is the upper part of the cranium which encloses the brain. This is a facial skeleton constitute the rest of the skull including the mandible. So here lies the mandible. The skull consists of total 28 bones. Okay, total skull consists of 28 bones. તો આપણે જોઈએ કે this is a calvaria. Okay, now the calvaria or the brain case having 14 bones. Okay, we are not going to discuss each 14 bones, but you have to remember the calvaria or the brain case having the 14 bones. The facial skeleton is also having the 14 bones. So total skull having 28 bones. Okay. So now first we will see the anatomical position of the skull. The skull can be placed in a proper orientation in a normal anatomical position by considering one of the two planes. Okay, so we will see the two plane in which one plane is called red base line. The red base line, what is red base line? So now we will see the normal anatomical position of the skull in which one plane is a red base line. So what is red base line? So we have to considering 2 points. This is a orbit. It is having the one margin. This is called the infraorbital margin. So from infraorbital margin, one line passes to the center of the external acoustic meatus. Okay, so this line is called the red base line. Okay, so this is the one plane in which you can place the skull in a normal anatomical position. Second plane is a Frankfurt's horizontal plane. This Frankfurt's horizontal plane is same, but you have to consider only infraorbital margin and the upper margin of the external acoustic meatus. Okay, this is the anatomical position of the skull. So you have to remember first plane Reid's baseline and another plane that is a Frankfurt's horizontal plane. Okay, now we will see how to study the skull. So what are the methods to study the skull? So first, the skull can be studied in a different ways. The first way is the superior view. Okay, this is the superior view અને એને આપણે નોર્મા વર્ટિકાલિસ કહીએ છીએ. Now another view that is a posterior view. Okay, એટલે કે એમાં આટલી જ વસ્તુ દેખાય. Okay, this is the posterior view or also called norma occipitalis. Another view that is the anterior view. Anterior view or also called norma frontalis. Lateral view also called norma lateralis. Inferior view and it is called the norma basalis. Okay, so this is the study method from outside or the external method to study the skull. Okay, after that another method is the after removing the skull cap. After removing the skull cap, after removing the skull cap, okay, we can study the inside or internally after removing the roof, or this is called the calvaria or the skull cap. Internal surface of the cranial vault, this is the internal surface. Okay, and the internal surface of the cranial base. Okay, so here you can see this is the interior internal surface in which you can say this is a natural subdivision. This is the anterior cranial fossa, this is the middle cranial fossa, and this is the posterior cranial fossa. Okay, so likewise we will study the whole skull. Now first today we will see only the norma verticalis and the norma occipitalis. Okay, so first we will see the norma verticalis, means the superior view of the skull, and second norma occipitalis means the posterior view of the skull. So first in the exterior of the skull we will see norma verticalis, means the superior view. Okay, this is the superior view. Okay, now first we will see the shape. When viewed from the above, the skull is usually oval in shape. Okay, so here this is oval in shape. So which are the bones you can see in the superior view of the skull? Okay, it is nearly circular in shape, in which you can see this is the frontal bone which lies anteriorly. Okay, is a single unpaired bone. Okay, here you can see this is a parietal bone. Okay, paired bone, and lastly the uppermost part of this is the occipital bone. You can see in the superior view or the norma verticalis. What are the other structure you can see? So here you can see this is a one suture which lies in between the frontal bone and these two parietal bone. This suture is called the coronal suture. Second suture that is placed in between the two parietal bone, and this is called sagittal suture. Another suture that lies posteriorly between the occipital and the two parietal bone, and this is called the lambdoid suture. Sometimes another suture, that is forehead suture, which is present in the frontal bone, which is present only in 3 to 8% individual. That suture is called the metopic suture, and it is occasionally present. Okay, normally it lies the median plane and separates the two halves of the frontal bone. So this is the metopic suture, but normally it fuses at the 6 years of the age. Now we will see in the norma verticalis some other name structures, okay, which are also important during the viva. First point is a vertex. Now what do you mean by the vertex? Vertex is the highest point on the sagittal suture. So this is a sagittal suture and this is the highest point. Okay, so this is the highest point of the sagittal suture. Vault of the skull. Okay, this is called the vault of the skull, is the arch roof of the dome of the skull. So this is also called the vault of the skull. Now another point is a bregma. Now what is bregma? So bregma is the meeting point between the coronal, this is coronal suture, and the sagittal suture. So this is called bregma. In the fetal skull, this is a site of membranous gap called the anterior fontanelle, which close at around 18th months of age, means 1.5 years after the birth. It allows the growth of the brain. Another point is called the lambda, that is present between the, or you can say the meeting point of the lambdoid suture and the posterior end of the sagittal suture. So this point is called the lambda, and it is also called the posterior fontanelle. The anterior fontanelle is called the bregma, posterior fontanelle is called the lambda, which closes at 2 to 3 months of age. Another point is called the parietal tuber. Okay, so when you see from above, parietal tuber, also called parietal eminence. Okay, so this is the eminence, or you can say the maximum convexity of the parietal bone on both the side. You can also feel on your head. This is a common site of the fracture of the skull. Okay, sometimes there are also the parietal. Now parietal foramen, as the name suggests, it is present in the parietal bone. So here you can say this is a sagittal suture, this is a posterior part. When you see it from above, then this is a parietal foramina. Two foramina are there which transmit the emissary vein from the vein of the scalp into the sagittal sinus. We will see during the lecture. Now another point is called the obelion. Now what is obelion? The obelion is the point on the sagittal suture between the two parietal foramina, means between these two parietal foramina, this point is called the obelion. Now when you see from the above in the norma verticalis, you can see one line, and this line is called the temporal lines. So this line begins at the zygomatic process of the frontal bone. This is a zygomatic process, this is a frontal bone, so this is called the zygomatic process of the frontal bone, arch backward, upward over the parietal bone. Over the parietal bone, this is a parietal bone, there are two lines, one is superior and one is inferior. Traced anteriorly, they form a single lines, okay, from here, and traced posteriorly, one of the superior line, it fades posteriorly, means it cannot be seen. Okay, so this is called the temporal lines. Okay, temporalis fascia is attached to these temporal lines. Okay, now this is the figure in your book. You can see in this figure, this is a norma occipitalis, in which you can see the parietal bone. This is a parietal foramina, occipital bone. We have discussed lambda. This is a lambdoid suture. This is a squamous part, or you can see the part of the temporal bone, and this is the external occipital protuberance. Also you can feel this marks the junction of head and neck. Okay, this is a on side of the external occipital protuberance, this is a superior nuchal line, this is the inferior occipital protuberance, or you can say the some of the other line below this superior nuchal line, this is called the inferior nuchal line. So that this is a external occipital protuberance. Okay, this is you can see in the norma occipitalis. Okay, so in the posterior view we have discussed in the figure. Now we will see over the skull. So that here you can see this is a parietal bone, this is a sagittal suture, this is a lambda, this is a occipital bone, this is a lambdoid suture, and this is a external occipital protuberance, and this line is called the superior nuchal line, and below this line this is the inferior nuchal line. But this line you can see better in when we will see the norma basalis. But now we are seeing from the posterior aspect, so this is a norma occipitalis. Okay, so these are the structures you can see. Sometimes highest nuchal line also there. Okay, but if it is present, then it is present above 1 centimeter above the superior nuchal line. Another point, that is occipital point. This occipital point is a median point little above the external occipital protuberance. Another point is called the inion. Inion, I-N-I-O-N, inion. This inion is present over the external occipital protuberance. Okay, so these are the structures you can see over the norma occipitalis. Now we will see some of the attachments over the norma occipitalis. The upper part of the external occipital protuberance gives origin to the trapezius and the lower parts ligamentum nuchae. So this is called the superior nuchal line. Medial 1/3 of the superior nuchal lines gives origin to the trapezius, and the lateral part provides insertion to the sternocleidomastoid muscle above and one of the muscle that is called the splenius capitis below. Now, highest nuchal line, if it is present, it provides attachment to the epicranial aponeurosis. Okay, what is epicranial aponeurosis? So this epicranial aponeurosis is present over the skull, having two belly. One is the frontal belly and another is the occipital belly. Okay, so this occipital belly of occipitofrontalis muscles that is attached over the highest nuchal line if it is present. If it is absent, then the epicranial aponeurosis occipital belly is attached to the superior nuchal line. So that today we have discussed about the norma verticalis, means in the superior view we have discussed so many structures, bones, and after that we have seen the norma occipitalis, in which we have discussed all the structures that can be seen. Okay, next time, okay, we will see the norma frontalis and other norma lateralis, and after that we will see norma basalis. Okay, thank you.